caps? Anybody else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Then, for the sake of continuity, we will be picking back up with the RV. So, as you might recall, the horses have come running down the ridge at quite quick speeds. Vitus had quite openly chalked this up to celerity. Whether or not that means anything to anyone. But the floor is open. If anyone wants to speak, do anything, otherwise they're coming towards you. So.
Are they close enough to make out any sort of, like, facial features of the riders or anything like that?
Not yet. In addition, it is dark. I mean, vampires have better sight in the dark, I suppose, yes. But they are far enough away.
I was gonna see if the horses are more like just trying to catch up, or if it's more like, hey, we're gonna ram spears into these guys.
Well, you can tell from here they don't have spears drawn. They do look like they have, admittedly, swords. Perhaps pistols, but swords are, you can see the sheaths from here. They're not drawn, however. But to a vampire, not drawn and drawn can be... The gap between those two states is not very long, with celerity being a thing.
No, it's not. It's going to be like, they are armed, albeit a bit archaically. Buddy? Nothing?
I can't think of a plan out of character. I don't see how I can be useful in this moment.
Can't hear you,
We
Rook.
can't hear you.
The mouthing of the O. I think he...
All right, how about now?
Yes.
Now we can hear you.
This is, the software I used to suppress background noise wasn't running, so my computer didn't think I had a microphone.
My apologies if you'd said anything prior to this point that I have ignored.
Nope, just this. Drew he can't really do anything until they close the melee range, so he's sitting tight and not looking peaceful exactly, but he's, I don't know, kind of impassive.
I don't even have the ability to do something in melee range. I have negative combat ability.
I suppose at this point, the driver of the vehicle, Tolis, is probably going to speak up and is like, do you want me to try to outrun him, or park, or just keep going?
I am personally okay if they just keep following us and we just keep hitting where we need to go. Obviously, if they make some sort of maneuver to stop us, then we'll deal with that at that moment. I don't foresee us able to outrun these horses that seem to be able to celerity, which, I suppose maybe is heard of, but it's not commonplace.
Forwards then. Not too. Go ahead.
I was gonna say he just continues to keep an eye on them as they probably gain on us.
Yeah, not too much longer before they are running alongside the vehicle. The windows are probably closed unless they're not.
At this
Does it-
moment, they are, but
The windows open. But the one that does kind of pull up to the driver's side of the vehicle, run up, I suppose, does sort of kind of try to wave, sort of get your attention. Well, get not your attention, but the driver's attention. Tallest would, speak up and, one waving me down here.
as long as they don't do anything hostile, I don't see any reason why we can't parlay.
Looks funny.
Kind of gets up and moves closer to the driver's seat, as Ellis would probably roll down the window.
Okay. As the window rolls down, the lead vampire on the lead horseman here, I suppose, he still is a vampire, but does kind of speak up, and you're the one they go by Vitus, yes?
Seems my reputation precedes me. Not sure how, but it seems to be
I'm
doing
not
so.
sure how either, though. The speaker was calling for you by name, sent a ton of us out to search the plains, and for your sake and for ours, I recommend you turn around and meet with him.
I need one assurance before I agree to this. I'm pretty sure you can already smell the ample amount of blood, non-kindred blood on this RV. I need some assurance of their safety. That's all I'm requiring.
Kind of looks over his shoulder to the others, but turns and safety's a funny concept, isn't it?
I'm well aware.
Not a whole lot of it out here. They'd likely be the safest simply not following. But then again, then you're out here at the mercy of whatever is roaming, whether it's us or monsters, hunters, beasts.
He just called himself a threat to us.
Indeed.
Let's see, did they hear that? Probably not.
Rolling a perception.
Yeah, but it's going to be at a penalty because, well,
They're in the back of an RV.
yeah, and the vehicle is running, and they are running, and
Yeah. Vitus is gonna.
their composure's not. I didn't have composure set to 3. Why did it roll 3? Whatever. The horseman kind of yells this time. It's like, well, when there's a lot of people, a lot of individuals, it's hard to not generalize. Not everyone is out here hunting for blood, but there are some that do. Not everyone is fortunate enough to simply, not need to hunt.
Just Vitus kind of turns around. Desperate, starving people will be desperate, starving people. Essentially, what he's saying.
Understandable.
However, I do need some assurance. I'm not saying that I expect you to bring down an entire neighborhood. We have been sent for a specific purpose out to this region. I need them for whatever it is that we plan on doing in this situation. So, I would really, really appreciate them not being drained of their vital fluids. Even if I have to file some sort of, feeding rights, exclusive feeding rights or something.
Look, I'm not a bureaucrat, alright? Bureaucrats, they don't like to get their hands dirty out here. There's a reason we're out here looking for you and not the, pencil pushers back in town.
I completely understand. I'm the same way. And I give him a look of yes, you're talking to a bureaucrat here.
He doesn't care. Because he already probably didn't care for you. Look, there's arrangements that can be made, but I don't want to be the one to have to go back and tell people that we found you and couldn't get you back in town. Because otherwise, I ain't going back to town, because I'd rather my head not on a stake.
That's most people think. That's why I'm not opposed to stopping by. I probably won't be able to stay for too long. But I just need to make sure that even if I get off this RV right here, right now, and go with you, that this RV continues unimpeded.
Well, I mean, how am I gonna contact people? But yes, sure, you have my word. As soon as we get back to town, we will put out the word that this RV is off limits, right?
I kind of
almost hear the desperation sort of leaking into the conversation at this point.
turns back and goes, guys want to make a stop at whatever their town is? We will eventually need gas, and I'm hoping they'll be able to provide that as well.
Looks over. I believe at this point it would be better. It would be better to stay together, or she almost. I don't even know. She just sort of sighs a little bit, just like this might as well happen. It's probably the first time you've seen her give a visual reaction to something.
What say you, speaker of ghosts?
We stand a better chance together than apart.
Right, Vitus kind of turns and goes, "Take the lead, we'll follow."
A very, very short sigh of relief kind of escapes the lead horseman's lips as they do break off and start heading a different direction.
Sorry, English is such a fun language. It could have just been interpreted that you said his lips broke off.
Did I?
Because he licked his lips and they broke off. But you meant the writers broke off?
Yeah. No, I ain't an English guy, okay?
No, I just English Frankenstein language of 5 different languages all smushed together. Like it's the most opaque language ever. It's not your fault.
I blame the English.
We all do.
Nothing ever good came of it.
Nothing good ever came out of England.
Nothing. Okay, getting back on track.
And it just turns around and goes, "Well, this guy definitely was somewhat panicked. Get me to go see this keeper.
Dire threats.
Before I'm asked, I have no idea what this is."
Tullus kind of gives you a follow.
Yes.
Okay. And turns as quick as an RV can turn, which is not very fast.
And at this point, Vitus is just going to kind of return to his seat next to one of the windows.
So, this trek is somewhat off-road at this point. So, speed is not exactly as high as it was before. The horses are not in a full gallop at this point and are sort of just trotting along ahead.
What direction are we heading in?
It would be roughly west.
All right.
Here, I don't know who drew that arrow on the map, but you're heading roughly that direction.
Okay.
So kind of heading in a direction that we need to go, so it's not horrifically off course. Go by that.
Oh, not to scale.
Yeah,
Probably not.
But yeah, this off-road does lead eventually out of more rocky terrain and back into a plains, almost flatland area. And you can see them on the horizon, the buildings. None are particularly tall, but there is a somewhat impressive skyline of some buildings are, they're mostly single-story buildings. Some stretch up to 4 stories, just judging on heights. But it is a relatively impressive skyline. This is no small settlement. There are lights the sights that you'd typically expect from, well, a city.
I was gonna say you could pat it in one of these.
Sorry.
The same price.
Just kind of examining the area as we drive in.
Even from here, you can see as well, off to the sides of the city, there do appear to be pastures of, well, horses, other livestock.
Hmm.
There's quarries, but no vehicles, not a lot of activity outside the city. It seems to be very urban and then cuts off into basically emptiness, the occasional pasture, the occasional hole of what looks to be a quarry.
This is a weird question. Does the architecture look consistent, or does it look similarly patchwork to the main city?
It's consistent.
Okay. So is it any sort of like thing that would be recognizable, or is it like just? Or does it look
Normally,
like?
I would call for a roll for this,
That's fair.
but there's no point, is there?
Uh,
Because this would be an intelligence roll.
If Cherry wants to know, Cherry's going to know.
Yeah, like if you want to roll your big dice, this would be intelligence academic.
If you don't think rolling would be necessary for Jerry, you could just.
No, it's probably not. But yeah, this is. It's not a style that directly translates, but it is distinctively almost Middle Eastern, Arabian.
Okay.
Even from here, you can see, as you get closer, these buildings are, the majority is made of stone, and the stone is a deep red, almost rose color.
Mm-hmm.
Which is unrelated to the fact that we have an NPC named Rose, but
How quaint.
the horses eventually do kind of stop their little just formation and sort of circle around and stop in front of you. Outside the city, it's still a bit of a walk away.
Vitus is gonna stand and make his way off the RV.
Mm-hmm.
The kindred on their horses, they do dismount and start approaching the vehicle.
Assuming there's a reason we're stopped outside the city.
Well, yeah, roads aren't exactly designed for vehicles. A little too narrow, you can see. Just kind of turns and just kind of arms open towards the city, and it's just like, ain't no parking lot either.
Time to go. So Drew will follow out.
This kind of goes, tell us you stay with the bus to Tanya with me.
Gives you a nod and goes for a shotgun.
Likely. Cherry considers likely a bad idea for us to go with the dead.
So you want to stay on the
Sorry.
vehicle?
Cherry does not believe that 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 going that they're that it would be a good idea to go with the
People that actively see them as food.
yeah. The dead people can go, but might be a bad idea for the currently living people who are not entirely built for combat.
Okay, your call.
I'm sure there are ways that I could be useful in there, but
the main horseman leader guy sort of walks up. He's like, "So, three of you, huh? Rest are staying out here?"
2 out of those 3 that are staying back are definitely more of targets. That's why my son will be staying back as well. Not that I don't trust you, but you know.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a lot of unsavory folks here. I ain't even gonna lie to you. As he kind of glances back over his shoulder, as you get enough of us together, and there's bound to be far too many people who kind of trails off at that.
Anyways, what sort of etiquette do I need to prepare?
Well, there's not going to be a whole lot, I suppose, that you need to be concerned about. Legally, technically a full citizen, the blood and whatnot. Normally there's far more protocols we'd probably want to follow, but I think the circumstances are quite unusual, and I should proceed with haste. I'm sure minor societal transgressions can be forgiven.
I dislike going into meetings ill-prepared, but
I don't know what to tell you, though, to prepare you. The head honcho of this place calls together a meeting of all the most important individuals in the city, big influential names, says that there's a vampire traveling along the outsides, the outskirts here, that he wants to speak with. And when the speaker asks for something, he ain't asking for it, he's demanding it. Look, there's a lot of influence for finding you and bringing you here to him. And I'd rather that influence can easily, smooth over any corners you happen to rough,
kind of shrugs and, right, lead the way. Bit of distaste on his face. He doesn't like going into these type of meetings without at least some knowledge of the individual.
Okay. So, the 3 of you, move forward through these streets. The streets are relatively narrow. They're clearly designed for foot traffic and foot traffic only. But everything is quite beautifully carved. The stonework is almost impeccable. And despite for Vitus admittedly only, despite the overwhelming sense of, smell of blood, there's no kind to be found. the few people on the streets all appear to be kindred, which do kind of give a, depending on the individual, an alarmed look, a confused look, a distasteful look at this new band of individuals being led through the city.
Just going to say, I see no kine in your midst. Makes me wonder how feeding is handled here.
No, they're here. They're just kept away from public eye.
Cattle?
Is a word, yes. By legal definitions, yes. Generally are kept underground. The dirt here, if you haven't figured it out already, is not comfortable. But there's no time to waste. Shit, I can't. The
Breathe.
hasteful speaking is ruining my speaking too. There's no time to waste. We should proceed with haste to the center ziggurat. As they kind of pick up the pace to almost a jog.
So much urgency.
Vitus is just kind of gonna shoot Drew a look of like, this could go badly. It has not escaped Vitus's attention.
I know, right?
But
Yeah, after this run through the city, you are led to essentially what is a ziggurat. This is clearly the center of the city. This is the important bit. There are a couple kindred standing guard. They are armed in what looks to be more ceremonial armor. It probably wouldn't stand up in a normal fight, but they are kindred, so they don't really care about practical armor half the time anyways. They give a bit of a look of concern as they move forward to block the road, but the three kindred leading you are kind of just like move. This is who the speaker wants to see. And at that, they do kind of hesitantly sort of half unblock the road. Still a little uncomfortable that they're letting, Drew in. As there's a couple looks that you're given as you run past. None of them polite. Up the stairs and whatnot leads into essentially a center room where a single, very grandiose chair sort of sits in the middle of the room. There's one kindred sitting on this chair, dressed in very long purple robes, blindfold over his eyes, and as the group enters the room, his voice sort of echoes against the walls and is very good. The three of you may leave. I only wish to speak to the one I summoned. The three kindred sort of stop in their tracks of running and give each other a couple looks of like, okay, is this... Hopefully this is good enough, before they give a bow and with haste sort of retreat out of the room. And the doors close behind.
At this, Vitus is going to be like, I'm going to apologize in advance. Our escort was not very informative. I am not sure how to address you, nor how I should greet you. So, please forgive this bit of frankness right now, as I am at a disadvantage.
The individual speaks up. Throughout this city, I am simply given the title of Speaker of the Lord. But you won't know any of that, as you are not of this city, which is understandable. My name beforehand was simply Dalton. You may refer to me as that if you so wish. I don't particularly care. It means nothing to me anymore. To keep things short, I have foreseen your trip through our region. And I have been given visions of, well, I'm sure you understand, of prophetic importance. What these mean, I don't know yet, other than our Lord sees you as important. Hence why I have sent this city scrambling to find you. You hail from the center city, do you not?
Not originally, but that is where my has been relocated to.
Yes, yes. And these are companions, I trust. Ghouls, perhaps?
One is a ghoul, yes. My daughter specifically. The other one is a traveling companion that I have brought with me. We have a task that we need to perform in the nearby area, and we were flagged down by your escort services.
Yes, yes. You must forgive me, I simply do not see the more simple things. I see things in the larger picture. I did not fully understand their role when they arrived here. This task, I believe it may be in line with what my dreams give to me. I presume you're unaware of the lands north of here.
Yes. I kind of turned to Drew to see if maybe he has any idea.
Shakes his head just a little bit, but stays quiet.
No. At least none that stand before you have any idea.
Yes, yes. The lands north of here are forbidden to enter for kindred here. It is considered a cursed place. Many who enter never return. despite this, it is a place of great importance to our Lord. I believe you are to be sent north. There is ruins there that hold important artifacts, which must be retrieved. The Lord demands it. But I dare not send anyone. I simply do not trust these denizens of this city enough with such an important task. But my dreams pull me to you, and I don't know why. I understand that this is upfront. And you have no reason to trust me. You have no reason to trust any of us. And I understand I am asking you to walk into a place where I just told you kindred go to die. But this is a matter that concerns all of our kind. I believe it to be the final resting place of the first.
First, our kind,
The first of Empire, yes. Our Lord. He pauses and ends it with just Cain.
kind of. What would it be? I want to know if Vitus would actually know the name Cain.
You said that Christianity doesn't exist in your world, right? If Christianity...
Christianity, I may have said that, but that doesn't mean Judaism doesn't exist.
Oh, yeah.
Cain
fair enough.
is Old Testament, so that
Considering that the Roman Empire came after Judaism, then Cain would still be known.
Yeah. It would...
But because I'm Roman, I may not... It would be something that may not be directly known by me.
It would be in intelligence academics.
Okay, intelligence academics. Would
As
my...
it would...
I don't think my specialization research count here.
You're not doing any research now.
So that's just gonna 6 dice.
Nice.
So yeah, you've heard the name. It wasn't a big name back home. It was mostly stories of, well, Jewish vampires, which there were a decent amount of, but it wasn't the prevalent force in kindred society. It was a story kind of set to the wayside and ignored by the majority of society.
I am familiar with stories such as this. Where I come from, they are only that, though. However, are asking something fairly dangerous from me. So, I am sure you're aware of what this question is. What I get out of this.
I can only promise material possessions. Land, slaves, whatever this city has to offer. But if this truly is the final resting place of numerous artifacts of the past, it could be power.
Could very well be the beginning of the end for this area. Supposing, if that is a big if, stories are true, could unknowingly awaken Daddy Dearest. Bit of, paint, as he says that.
He gives you a chuckle, and he's... The world is already ending around us. You must see this. And besides, we would not be waking him. We would simply be freeing him. There is a reason I rule this city, as he has already spoken to me. I have already seen him. Only but briefly, I have already seen him. A glimpse of a future for all of our kind. As he sort of he lifts his hands and goes to untie the blindfold, and when it drops off the upper part of his face, his eyes aren't there. They've been clawed out. The beauty of it. I could not bear the thought of ever seeing another thing. I needed it to be the last and only thing I ever saw.
Vitus sighs, thinks for a moment, kind of shoots a look over his shoulder at Drew to try and get Drues. How Drew's feeling. If you want me to roll an empathy roll, I can.
He's not really like trying to hide his expression, but he's also not being terribly obvious with his meaning either. Like his eyes are pretty narrow. Like he's not happy about what's being said, shall we say, and doesn't appear to really feel positively towards the speaker.
What do you know about the land to the north? Why is a kindred's deathbed? Because realistically, if it is such a dangerous and hostile place, unless I know the dangers, there's a good chance that I'm just going to end up ash and dust.
This is a fair point. The lands north, the area is mountainous. It is rough terrain. The region is almost permanently encased in a dust storm. It is, I would say, sand, but it is distinctively dust. And, well, it is sand, but the few times where it does relent, those who venture near see in the distance the ruins, the carcass of a city long dead, rusting buildings collapsing under their weight. As for why it is a death trap, I could not tell you. The kindred that do foolishly enter often do not return. The few that do return didn't make it very far. They got through the dust, and they felt it burn, and retreated before they could get through. It is difficult to get through, but not impossible. There is a cave that should lead you in, but it is a secret known only to some of the highest up here in the city. Whatever is in there is possibly dangerous, and for many years we didn't want to uncover it. But my dreams now push me to digging up that grave, figuring out what actually lies beyond.
Just kind of pauses as he thinks. How far north is this place? As we are currently in a vehicle that will need supplies to continue moving forward.
These supplies can easily be arranged. You need not trouble yourself with logistics here. This is a matter that goes beyond material possessions for many in this city. You have not been here long, so I do not suspect you converse with the people here. Many are simply vampires who have come to live here. Nothing more. But many, the eldest of us here, see the light at the end here. Hear the words of Cain. Many are believers, devoted to his return, and will willingly give up simple things such as gasoline to see it done.
As I am not traveling alone, I will need to give me that time.
Time is a
Sure.
commodity we have a lot of as mortals, is it not? But haste would be preferred in your answer.
Of course.
So he goes to retie the blindfold. This is all I have for you. If you wish to know more, I can provide. Otherwise, I bid you return to your companions and consider the plight of our Lord.